Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Hope everybody had a good weekend and 4th of July. I can't say that I was surprised to hear how the celebration in Washington, D.C. ended up being a disaster from the overproduced fireworks, creating so much smoke and damage to the air that for 2 days they had to put a warning out there for people with, lung issues to stay the hell indoors. And then of course the wind. No one's gonna forget the winds that blew almost everything over there at the place. They tried to clear everybody out, but some people were stubborn and decided to stay. Let me read this here to you. It says, and it's titled "Trump Speech Evacuated as Weather Blows Up Plan." An immediate evacuation order was just issued for President Donald Trump's 4th of July event on the National Mall due to severe weather. Quote, "The safety of our guests, performers, and staff is our top priority," unquote. Freedom 250 spokesperson Daniel Alvarez shared in a social media post. Quote, "Due to approaching severe storms, Freedom 250, United States Secret Service, United States Park Police, National Park Service, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and all public safety partners are asking all guests to evacuate event grounds and seek temporary shelter in a nearby building," unquote. Republicans are currently blaming the, quote, "liberal weather service," unquote. But if you ask me, I think Mother Nature just really hates Trump. Yeah, it's, and, I read online somewhere, I can't remember what outlet it was, I think it was the Daily Beast or something, that some of the people that were there at this event were paid to be there, okay? They basically got a free ride on a bus to go to this event, okay? And they basically, they got, I don't know how much money they gave them, but they gave them something, okay, just to be there and make it look like, a lot of people showed up just for him, but wasn't the case. In fact, even with all that they did, it still looked like it wasn't that big of an event that it should have been, considering 250 years, right? So it really wasn't that big of an event. But the fact that the weather screwed it up and the fireworks screwed it up and and everything that happened before that, like the Lincoln Memorial pool there, whatever they call that. I don't know. It's true what they say about him. Whatever he's involved in, it turns to crap. So I mean, it's insane how true that is. When you take a look at recent things that happen here. And so let's go to another item here. All right, this is from the feed. It's entitled, "It was only a matter of time before Trump ruined the World Cup." The U.S. men's national team's dominant, inspiring run at the 2026 World Cup has reignited American patriotism, fired up an interest in the world's most popular sport among a new generation of Americans and brought us together in a way that America hasn't seen since before Donald Trump went down that golden escalator more than a decade ago. So of course he found a way to fuck it up for everyone. Long before Trump's now infamous phone call encouraging FIFA president Gianni Infantino to, quote, look into, unquote, the controversial red card shown to U.S. men's national team star striker Folarin Balogun last week, FIFA had already established itself as one of the world's most notoriously and unabashedly crooked organizations. Anyone interested in a little background on just how radioactively rotten to the core FIFA is needs not to look very far. The last two nations to host the biggest sports spectacle in the world were Qatar in 2022 and Russia in 2018, for gosh sakes. You will not be surprised to learn that tens of millions of dollars in bribes were doled out to various FIFA officials to secure the votes needed to approve said hosting rights. All that's to say, FIFA is no stranger to controversy, a fact that regularly extends to activity on the pitch. So it was on Wednesday, July 1st, when a seemingly routine coming together of Balogun and Bosnian defender Tarek Muharremovic in the 64th minute resulted in a universally panned red card for the transcendent American striker. Balogun, who had minutes before put the U.S. ahead with a triumphant goal to end the first half, was unceremoniously ejected from the game and set for a mandatory one-match ban, effective immediately. In normal times, that would have essentially been the end of the controversy, save for the interminable drone of pundits and podcasters alike lamenting just the latest incident of inconsistent refereeing on the sport's biggest stage. No less than 4 other players in this World Cup alone have been spared red cards for equal or more egregious offenses, including, unsurprisingly, the undisputed face of the sport, one Lionel Messi. But these are not normal times. On Sunday, FIFA made the truly extraordinary announcement that Balogun's suspension would be suspended, meaning the U.S. MNT would have their most lethal scorer available against perennial heavyweight contenders, Belgium, in Monday night's round of 16 clash. Almost immediately, rumors that Trump had intervened began to spread. This morning, the wannabe dictator confirmed that he had, in fact, phoned Infantino personally over the weekend. Quote, all I did was ask for a review. I didn't say, you have to do this, unquote, Trump said from Oval Office with the nonchalance of a two-bit mobster. Oh, he also added that he, quote, didn't think it was a foul, unquote. Good to know, Donnie. Let us not lose sight of the ultimate irony in Donald's foolish gambit. The president just personally pressured FIFA to reinstate Folarin Balogun, a man who literally would not be suiting up for the United States were it not for the birthright citizenship Trump personally tried to erase from the U.S. Constitution by executive fiat. You see, Balogun's Nigerian parents were visiting Brooklyn back in 2001 when his very pregnant mother at the time was stopped from boarding a flight back to England due to legitimate medical concerns. Folarin was born on U.S. soil a short while later, and the rest is history. The blowback to the MAGA cult leader's unconscionable meddling has been swift and severe, outside America anyway. Belgium is demanding, and rightly deserves, answers. Balogun and the U.S. MNT have been put in an impossible position. Their incredible run in the tournament thus far, 3 wins in 4 matches, is now firmly flattened in the rear-view mirror, and the world will watch tonight with intense scrutiny. If they win, detractors and neutrals alike will understandably cry foul, and every subsequent success will be tainted with the dreaded mark of unworthiness. If they lose, they will be mocked and unfairly maligned as entitled cheaters who couldn't muster a victory even with a wannabe dictator's stubby hand tipping the scales in their favor. While highly unlikely, U.S. head coach Mauricio Pochettino and the Americans have the opportunity to do something truly extraordinary. They can sit Belgium this evening and go out and beat Belgium anyway. They almost certainly won't, but they could, and probably should. In addition to standing up for fundamental fairness and rejecting outside interference on the game's biggest stage, such an act would send an even more powerful message that transcends the sport. Donald Trump is just one man, and despite his insatiable desire and uncanny ability to center himself in every fucking thing at every moment of every day, he can, if so desired, simply be ignored. For 25 magical days, the World Cup has truly delivered, from Scotland's Tartan Army drinking Boston Dry to throngs Algerian diehards marching joyously through the streets of Lawrence, Kansas, to Japanese fans staying long after the final whistles to help clean up the stadiums where their team played. Millions of soccer lovers from all over the planet have descended upon North America, putting the best of humanity on display, both on the pitch and off. 25 glorious days where the beautiful game, the indomitable human spirit, and the kind of nationalism that mercifully doesn't result in body counts reign supreme. Donald Trump just had to come along and fuck it all up. He has spent the past week reminding us all about how little he actually cares for this nation, its people, the symbols it cherishes, and the values it holds dear. He's raining toxic smog over Washington, D.C. He turned the celebration of our 250th anniversary into a cheap, sweaty, partisan pep rally, rewrote the Declaration of Independence to make it more MAGA, and now he's dragging the reputation of our national men's soccer team into the muck with him. Can we please be allowed to enjoy one thing without him ruining it? Yeah, it's true. It's always got to be about himself, everything. You know, and they were right about the speech he gave at the 4th of July celebration in D.C. that he gave. Sounded more like a campaign speech, you know, than anything else. It didn't sound like he was giving a speech about the country, its 250th year. It was all about Donald Trump at 80 years old. You know, and how he is the greatest thing since sliced cheese. To be, and we should be lucky that he's the president and all this stuff. That's what he did. He took and inverted that all on himself instead of focusing on the birthday of the country. Who fucking does that? You know, who fucking does that? You know, only a narcissist would turn something like that. You know, he's so pissed off because he knows he's floundering in the approval numbers so bad. They're the worst of every American president we've ever had. He knows he's hated. You think he's doing all these things to be liked? You know, he wonders why he's hated, but he does all kinds of shit that I think he knows pisses people off, but that's all he knows what to do. You know, that goes to show you this man has no compassion at all for anybody but himself. You know, I feel like it's really telling. I mean, you got to pay attention to this guy. You got to look at him through an unfiltered lens, okay, to see this man and think about what he's doing. Okay. He has this ability of making everything about himself. At the same time, when he does that, it's like he ruins whatever the hell he's doing. Because first, when people stop liking him, nobody cares about what he wants and doesn't want. Okay? Because they expect that if he gets what he wants, somebody is going to go without, and they're right, because that's true. And you know, Trump being what he is, he's obviously, I seriously think there is something mentally wrong with him. And whatever tests he's taking, they're not testing him on his mental health. Okay, I don't really think they are. I think, you know, he's ignoring these tests, or the people are just, you know, pretending they gave him one and say, okay, tell him you did the, you know, just to, because look, he's already got sycophants around him every day. You think any one of these people are going to allow a test to show that he's out of his fucking mind to ever leak out? No. So they're gonna doctor one up. Okay? They've been covering him since the day he got into that office. Okay? But it's too late to do that now because the damage is done. Everybody hates him. It doesn't matter at this point whether he can pass a mental examination or not. People are still going to hate him because if he did have a mental problem, they could at least say, well, he did all these things, but he wasn't really cognizant of what he was doing. But it's worse to say that, no, his mind is a healthy... Then people say, well, that guy's a rotten son of a bitch. Okay, they're going to hate him even more because now they got nothing else to blame for that. So I think it would be best if Trump fakes that he's got a mental problem, if he doesn't have one already, and just let people say, oh, well, you know, this is the reason why our country's messed up, because, you know, he is the president and people have to follow his orders, and, you know, if his orders are weird, they can't, you know what I'm saying? That way they can have some kind of a little lily pad to jump onto for credibility. But Trump takes that lily pad away, and therefore the truth remains, as it should. So, you know, I say, yeah, let them keep saying he can pass all these mental health tests that he takes or whatever he's always bragging about, just so people understand that, yes, this is a man with a clear conscience, okay, who's actually fucking you up. He's doing it because he wants to do it, and it hasn't got a damn thing to do about marbles loose in his head. He is out of his fucking mind, whether you like it or not. But, you know, when he tells you he's passing tests, bear that in mind, that this is a guy who is actually doing this, and he's fully aware of it. Okay, so yeah. So this other article here from Daily Dose is titled "Trump Shares a Graffiti-Laden Air Force One AI Slop in the Latest Racist Attack on the Obamas." Okay, he's got a picture of Obama and his wife coming down Air Force One, and then somebody had put graffiti that wasn't on the plane, but they made a picture and they put that shit on there to make it look like, you know, to give Obama, you know, a bad image. Okay, you know, it's just a doctored photograph is what it is. Okay, all right, so okay, it wouldn't be a proper holiday weekend without a deplorable broadside of one kind or another from America's racist Facebook uncle-in-chief during a marathon airing of grievances on Truth Social yesterday. Donald shared new AI slop disparaging Barack and Michelle Obama that managed to be childish, racist, and xenophobic all at once. At some point, he's just going to stand on the White House balcony and scream the N-word, right? Let's see here. Whoop. Okay. And then there's a Marine veteran answers the call to fight Trump. Joanna Mendoza served our country for 20 years as a drill sergeant in the United States Marines, training the brave men and women who defended our country overseas. And now, she's ready to defend our nation from Donald Trump's extremism in the halls of Congress. As a lifelong public servant, Joanna refuses to sit idly by while Donald Trump sends our troops into harm's way and dismantles our democracy while we watch in horror. Do you realize, now, if this person gets into Congress, she's been a drill instructor for 20 years. I don't know how many of you people were in the military. You know, drill instructors, they are loud, they are insulting. Do you think that it's going to be easy to argue down this woman? You know, in Congress, when she starts in and they try to shout over her, she's got 20 years of experience on how to demean the person. I mean, this is, you know, this could be bad news for a lot of big mouths there in Congress if she gets in there. And since she's not on Trump's side, God help him. So I haven't seen anything, videos or anything about her. I'm sorry, about her. So I can't say whether or not she would be a good person in Congress. I'm just going on the fact that, you know, her experience with training troops means she had for so long. I mean, that's not an easy job, I'll tell you right now. That's not an easy job. You got to get up early in the morning. You got to be on the wrong side of the bed every morning just to be able to do your job. So this person, after 20 years of that, what was that? R. Lee Ermey, remember him from Full Metal Jacket? Imagine if he was in Congress. Okay? Those Marine drill instructors are ruthless, I'll tell you. And anybody that's in Congress now that's on Trump's side and thinks they're going to bully her, it's going to make for some popcorn viewing, I'll tell you that. If they try to get into a shouting match with her, you know. So, yeah. But yeah, we need more people like that to fight against Republicans, because really, Republicans have been the big mouths up on the hill here for long enough. Okay, with their corny takes on everything, and their ass kissing each other, and you know, they're behind the scenes greasing each other's palms. Okay, that shit has got to go. Okay, that hasn't benefited anyone in this country for I don't know how long. But that's got to stop. That's got to stop. And until we put some people in there who are in there to do the job and not in there to get money, this is going to continue. So, like I said, this, you know, we have to find people, but we got to keep an eye on anyone we put in Congress or the Senate. We have to keep a very close watch on them to find out if they're making deals to make money, you know, or playing the stock market, whatever. We got to keep our eyes on these fucking people much closer than we have been. Because when we find out that they're up to something, that they're making millions of dollars, okay, then we have to worry. We got to worry, okay? And too many of us, for too long, have just sat back and said, oh, fuck it, there's nothing we can do. No, it's the opposite, actually. There is something we can do about it, okay? Problem is we've forgotten what it is we have to be able to retaliate against that sort of thing. We've forgotten. You know, our grandfathers, they knew better. They understood how to make your voices heard and stuff, and how to influence. They knew that. Problem is that never really got passed down how to do it over the generations. And so the only thing we think we have at our hands is voting to make a difference, but it's not true. It isn't. Okay, you take a look at some of the women over the years that have faced an injustice. Okay, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I've seen like documentaries of women who have fought a long fight to get a law passed. Okay, because of some tragedy she went through, a rape, an abusive husband or something like that, and there was no law, a sufficient law to protect her, and they managed to get that, whatever law they created, to get passed and become reality. Okay, it didn't require voting to get that done. All it required was that she built up a momentum to get things done, and that is what I'm talking about. You see, not enough of us do that sort of thing these days. Okay, more women do stuff like that than men. Okay, because of course, women are always the second-class citizens in this country, according to the men that live in this country. Okay, but the fact is, they're just as important as everybody else living here, and so it's been always their cause to take up. That's why we've had, what do they call that? That movement against Me Too movement. There you go. That's why you had movements like that going on in this country. Okay, it's the women that face injustice and they come together and do this sort of thing. Okay, they didn't have to they didn't do this during an election. They just did it because it was the right thing to do. They had to make the governments aware of it. So that's what I'm talking about. We have to, when we know an injustice has been done on us, we have to come together and build a momentum to get recognized, to get seen, to get heard, and to force a change. Okay? Force a change. Make enough fucking noise, they're going to get sick of listening to you because they're too busy trying to make money. They don't want to be distracted by this, so they're just going to buy you off to shut you up or something like that, or give you what you want to get rid of you. That's what you got to do. You have to be you got to be a stalker. You know, you have to be a stalker with today's government. If you ain't a stalker, you know, you're just never going to get there, okay? So we need to learn a few things about stalkers and how they manage to get, you know, things going, you know, and we need to be like that, all of us, when it comes to the government. We got to have another hat in our closet to be that persistent. Never to take no for an answer. Okay? The more people you have, and the more people say we're not taking no for an answer, they're going to get tired of it. After it could take months, it could take even years, but if you just keep pressing and pressing and pressing, eventually even people in Congress are going to say, oh, you know, if I join up with them for this cause, that'll get me some votes. Then all of a sudden you start getting leadership joining the crowd. Okay? That's what you do. You don't wait till an election day to make a change, okay? You want to make a change and it's that important to you, then you should get out there and do these things, okay? That's what I'm saying. All right, let's go to commercial break. We'll return after.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This
is me.
me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
off your person, off your love. So I believe in you and you said you had love. It's been so long time, I can still some more.
I recently came across the video I'm about ready to show you, and I wanted to do a video about it for two reasons. One, she reminds me of my daughters. And two, it's a reminder of the things that we don't teach our kids, whether it be from a familial standpoint, from within the family, or through the education system. But this young woman just recently found out what a deductible is, and man, she is feeling some kind of way about it.
I learned what a deductible is today. You guys want to know, you're in for a real fucking treat, okay? I just turned 26 last month. Oh my God, Amy, happy birthday, right? Oh my God, you're such a big girl. Perfect. Actually, no. Your parents' insurance ripped away from you, bitch. Bye-bye. Everything that you've ever known and never had to figure out yourself, you got to figure it out, bitch. Break a leg, literally. Okay, sign up for my own insurance. Okay, perfect. You know what? I'm such a big girl now. I'm doing all this on my own. I'm going to decide to invest in some therapy with my new little medical plan. Perfect. Okay, so I signed myself up for therapy. Okay, got it. You're covered. You're in network. Perfect. Loving this terminology. I'm in network. Perfect. So, I get my therapist. Okay, let's put in some credit card information. Let's see how much therapy's going to cover. I love when insurance covers. Like, let's do that. Whatever that means. Like, cover it up, bitch. Like, that's why I have it, right? Perfect. Okay, so I got the notification. Your therapy sessions are going to be $150 until you meet your deductible. And my deductible is like close to like $2,000. Okay, so I have to pay full price for my therapy sessions until I meet my deductible. Okay, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but like $150 per therapy session is a lot of money for mama. Okay, I cannot afford $150 per therapy session with the amount of therapy that I need. Okay, so I have to pay full price until I meet my deductible, which is close to $2,000. Okay, and then insurance kicks in, and it's going to be like $25 a session. Right. Okay, so I have to spend all this fucking money, and then January's gonna come around, and it's gonna restart. And I'm gonna have to start all over again, and then go back up to the $2,000, and then insurance finally kicks in. What? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. I really want to Benjamin Button my ass. Like, let's go back. I want to be 25 again. I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about, but I'm uninterested. I just want insurance to cover. Isn't that how this fucking works? Oh my God. Anyways, I'm on my way to my first therapy session.
First things first, happy belated birthday. Secondly, I hope your therapy session goes well. I truly do. $2,000 for deductible is actually pretty goddamn good. Mine's $7,500 for an individual. And is it $15,000 for the family? Hang on a second, I probably should have pulled this out. Yeah, $15,000 for the family. We also have an out-of-pocket maximum of $10,000 for an individual and $20,000 for the family. And that's after paying just under $1,800 a month to have the insurance. $2,000 deductible is not bad. But if I could, please, since you were clearly caught off guard by the fact that deductibles exist, let me just, if I could kind of elaborate. You should also have one, or not should, you will also have a deductible for your car insurance and your renter's or homeowner's insurance. So if you get into an accident, there's a deductible involved that you're responsible for out of pocket. Let's say it's $500. You get into an accident and there's $1,500 worth of repairs. They're going to cover $1,000 and you're going to cover $500. That's the deductible. And maybe yours isn't $500, but I'm just saying you're going to have a deductible for homeowners and car insurance as well. And the homeowners insurance can be a bitch. It could be a big number. You could be looking at thousands of dollars in deductibles for your homeowners insurance. It's just the way insurance works. Am I defending it? No. Do I like it? Hell to the fucking no. And when it comes to health insurance, it's one of the prime reasons why we should really, really, really consider universal health care. But yeah, deductibles, you're at 26, deductibles have not begun to beat the shit out of you over the course of your lifetime. Way more of that is coming. And yes, it restarts every year. The deductible is good for the calendar year that you're in, 2026. December 31st at midnight, that ends, and you begin a new deductible year.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back, people. Oh, God, my neck hurts. Okay. Let's see, another title from Daily Dose. It says, Trump makes a preposterous crowd-size claim after the July 4th event on the National Mall wiped out by heavy thunderstorms. Donald really wants everyone to know that 422,000 people gathered on the National Mall to listen to him brag about himself and his rant about all the ways his many enemies have done him wrong before cosmic forces sent powerful storms into the capital region and literally rained on his parade. Trump's curious crowd count predictably ballooned from his preposterous estimates the night before. Quote, we're here, there's no way we can be deterred, unquote, Trump said Saturday night after literally being deterred for several hours. Quote, they estimated they had 375,000 people before everybody had to leave, and they now have 150,000 people. It's the craziest thing anyone's ever seen, unquote, he laughably declared shortly after 11 p.m. Yeah, well, I don't think people liked him that much to stay there and hopefully not get zapped. Okay, another thing here, entitled MAGA Congressman Attacks Weak Republicans Who Won't Back Trump's Disenfranchisement Scheme. House Republican James Comer, who else, took to the friendly airwaves of Fox News yesterday and repeatedly attacked quote-unquote weak Republican senators for failing to pass Donald Trump's disenfranchisement scheme known as the, quote, Save America Act, unquote, openly questioning if the GOP holdouts had any business even being in office at this point. Comer is understandably upset. If Republicans can't greatly reduce voter rolls come November, a blue wave will likely wipe out their majorities in both houses of Congress and render their dear leader a lame duck president for the remaining 2 years of his term. Speaking about stalkers in the last segment, here's this other thing. Trump reignites a feud with Italy's prime minister by suggesting she's a stalker. America's vainglorious score settler clearly hasn't gotten over Italy denying U.S. bombers runway access during his quote-unquote little excursion in Iran. So he's doing what he does best, turning the diplomatic spat into a cringe-inducing elementary schoolyard feud. Donald, 80 years old, took time out of his very busy Sunday to put Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni on blast, sharing meme slop presenting the 49-year-old leader as some kind of googly-eyed stalker desperate for his attention. Why must he make everything so weird? another item here. White House report accuses Smithsonian leaders of quote-unquote extreme activism. Donald Trump's whitewashing brigade has apparently found a new enemy of the state, accusing the Smithsonian National Museum of American History of embracing, quote, extreme political activism, unquote, for accurately representing actual historical records. In a 162-page reported release on July 4th by the White House Domestic Policy Council, Trump's cronies accused the nation's preeminent history museum of being overly woke and representing America's history largely through themes of racism, oppression, and inequality. Much of the report focuses on historian Anthea Hartig, who has led the National Museum of American History since 2019, and also happens to be the museum's first female director. Yeah, yeah, they just don't want the truth ever getting to the people's eyes, you know, and this is not new. This shit was going on even before Trump was even in the political scene, okay? Republicans, you know, from governors to congressmen to senators, always bitching. Oh, the history classes, they get, you know, they're not teaching them history. No, they're not teaching the history you want them to hear, okay? That's the problem. That's what they don't like. And they've been trying to change curriculum in schools for years, okay? That's why they attack the teachers. That's why they attack the public school system. That's why they attack colleges and universities. You know, that education is a bad thing for Republicans. They don't like that when you're smart. They don't like that when you know things they don't want you to know, okay? And I can guarantee you, I mean, I haven't gone into a classroom lately to look at history books and to see what's in there. But I would be curious to see what it is that kids are reading these days in history class, and what the teacher is actually allowed to teach them. I really am curious. I mean, I'd like to be able to talk about that at some time and say, look, you know, I read this and I didn't see that in there, and I didn't see this in there, and I didn't see any of that in there. You know, it's like, you know, and find out, you know, how the teachers feel about that. I mean, there's always going to be books and libraries that kids can go to refer to. So I think that eventually these history books that they have in school, if they're still using books, by the way, I don't it could be all on the internet, but if they don't have that refer to this or refer to that, you know, other books or something, if you want, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they probably give you like a paragraph on a major event, and at the end they say, if you want to know more, refer to okay, but the problem is that the school, the teachers will only test kids on what's in the textbooks in the school, or wherever they, you know, whatever they're using, okay? They won't be tested on knowledge that they gain from outside sources, from the library, the town library, or the school library, or whatever other books there are. That's the problem. That's why a lot of people today graduated high school with less knowledge about things than, say, my generation or my father's generation or his father's generation. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay, so what the kids are learning probably in history class today is just bare bones, like dates and facts. That's it. Okay, read between, there is no other lines to read between. Okay, if you want to know more about it, you're gonna have to use your own computer or legwork or something and find out for yourself to get a proper explanation of events that happened at that time. Okay, and you got to be curious enough to, you know, when you go to class and say, you know, how come we don't talk about this, or how, you know, and ask the teacher. You know, it's really, it's sad, but you know, it's almost like the kids these days are going to have to teach themselves, because unless it's a math class or something like that, or science or whatever, I mean, unless it's something like that, if we're talking history, when it comes to that, that's going to be like something you're going to have to learn at home, because our government is attacking history so bad these days, okay? They really are. And now, and of course, on top of that, you got people saying this book shouldn't be in the library and that book shouldn't be in the library. Okay, they're trying to control what the hell gets put on the shelves. In fact, a BAM bookstore up here, they have a bin that says banned books, and this bin has all the books that are banned that people can buy. And I'll tell you, you know, there's a lot of people buying books out of that bin because people want to know, what do they not want me to see? Okay, so yeah, it's sad that, you know, it's come to that, but I just feel like, you know, our kids today really are at a disadvantage. I mean, they're getting diplomas for less knowledge than what I have about certain things, and you know, when they go to college, you know, they're going to be far behind on a lot of things. They're going to have to do catch-up courses, I guess. I don't know what they call them, but some kind of formal class or something just to build up to the college class you took. Okay? And, you know, prep courses, I guess they call them. I don't know. See, I never went to college. I went right into the military after. Okay. So I just, I think they call them prep courses. But that's what they're going to have to do these days now, I think, a lot of them. I mean, I've met some smart kids. Okay, don't get me wrong. Kids even smarter than me, okay, about certain things. So they're not dumb. But I think it's easier for them to pass and diploma to get, from high school. It's easier for them because they're already so smart, and inquisitive. But a lot of people, they're just getting the bare bones and getting away with getting a diploma over that, but they're sadly unprepared for college if they ever intend to go to college after. And I think there's probably a lot more of that than there used to be, where kids are trying to get into, and they say, oh, you ain't got enough credits for this, you don't have enough time in that, or something. Okay, so, or they look at the grades and they say, well, your grades aren't high enough for this or that, you'll have to take prep courses before you can get into this and all that stuff. Which is probably what I'd have to do if I wanted to go to college or take any class in college that requires any high level of education. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I mean, there's topics in college that would go over many of our heads, of all ages. But if I want to pick something, like politics or something political, I would probably have to take some kind of class or two just to create a foundation before leaping into the class in college or something, or let's say I want to be a lawyer. Now that's gonna you got to be smart. I know a couple of girls going to law school, working at a restaurant down here, and I'll tell you, they're smart. They are smart. They know the law, and they haven't even really finished the 2 years yet, but they know a lot. So, but yeah, but like I said, on the average, I think a lot of kids today graduating high school are really still unprepared for college if they're going to go there. And I got to tell you something. When I went into the military, okay, they gave me a test. They call it the ASVAB test at the time. I don't know what they call it now, but it's sort of like an entrance exam to see where your intellectual level is, because from that, if you say I want to do this for a job or this for a job, they figure what your education aptitude is. Would he be able to do this job? And if not, well, it would have to be something else. Okay, so what they do, and of course there is a minimum you have to pass in order to get into the service of any job, okay, into the military. I had to take that test. The first time I didn't pass it, but it was by a small margin, okay? It was in the math. Math was never my strong suit. So I was fortunate enough. I had a neighbor who was a math teacher, and he helped brush me up on algebra and stuff like that. So when I took the test again, I did a lot better. Okay, I was able to do better. But they did, you know, test me, and it wasn't, you know, it took a few hours here to take this motherfucker. Okay? You know, they asked a lot of questions. So, you know, you couldn't really be uneducated to try to get in there, at least in the Air Force. I don't know how it is for each branch, because I think the standards vary from the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, Coast Guard. I think the requirements vary on which branch you're going into. I mean, I'm talking a long time back, you know, when I took it, like in the 90s, okay? So a lot of time has passed, so they might have made a lot of adjustments with that since then. So, but at that time, there was, you know, a level of education you needed to have in order to get into the Air Force, okay? Because a lot of the jobs in the Air Force were technical jobs. You know, you're taking care of aircraft, a lot of electronics in that, okay? Ammunition, you know, missiles and stuff, a lot of electronics in that, okay? You had to know your shit to get a job in there, okay? And there's like air traffic control person. I mean, there's a lot to do with that. You know, you got to be alert. You got to know how to read things and understand. You know, so yeah, those are the things I'm talking about to get in there. That's why I think the standard was so high that you had to be able to get in there. And me not being that good in math, I still managed to pass and get in there. Okay, so I was like really amazed that I even did it, you know, because I really didn't feel like I was ever going to pass that motherfucker. I had to try a different one, but I did. So yeah, so kids today, I mean, what happens when they try to get into the military? Let's say if they want to go in the military and they're tested that way, and they can't pass it. I mean, what happens when you know, when does the government lower the bar, or do they have something to help the person, the recruit, to get in there? I mean, I'm kind of wondering here about that. When they say that the recruitment levels in our military today are low, I'm wondering, is it low because the kids can't pass the exams to get into the service? And the government is unwilling to lower the standards. I mean, I don't really think lowering the standards as far as the military is concerned is a good idea, because like I said, technical, all the stuff that, you know, like in the Air, okay? So you want them to know something about what they're going to get into. So is it because the kids today can't get in there because they can't pass that entrance exam to get into the military? You see, there's a lot to that they don't tell you. They just say, oh, recruitment is low today. I mean, they're trying to make it seem like nobody wants to get in the military. Maybe they do. Maybe a lot of people are trying to get into the military, but they can't pass the exam to get in because they didn't get educated well enough when they were in school. You know? That could be the thing. That would be interested in seeing if anyone ever takes up that topic as a reporter and digs around there to see what the hell's going on with that. Because if we can't get people educated enough to go to college or even go in the military, we got a problem. A serious fucking problem. You know? It's probably not a wonder that so many companies are going to AI, because they can't find anybody smart enough to be able to do the job that the computer can do better, you know? You see how everything kind of adds up to, you know? So I really think there should be some investigation done in that regard to wake the public up and say, look, we can't keep beating the shit out of public schools or something like that, because look what's happening. You know, our workforce is dumber than ever, and our military can't grab anybody worth a damn to be in the service except to shoot people dead. I don't know. Anyway, that's enough ranting here. All right, I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and it's cooler where you are. It's been very hot in a lot of parts of this country, even here. So please keep your ears open for any health-related matters, and you know, help each other out there. Okay, times are, you know, it might seem like everything is kind of a little stable right now, but I don't feel like that's going to last too much longer, especially with shit building up again, and with Iran and Israel. I think we're going to be back into this thing, I think, again very soon, and the gas prices are going to go right back up again. So be ready for that, people. Put money aside. Don't splurge. Okay, if you're going to go anywhere, be sure that it's something productive that you really need to do. Okay, just be careful on spending your money, because we're going to get really. I feel like we're really going to get hammered here soon with expenses. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you.